What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder. This is Gate City Sports Channel, and this is the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, guys. So yesterday I did a feature on here. I kind of talked about the Eagles front office, the way that the front office is not this, cohesive unit that we like to think of it. It actually does have rivalries and competition within it. It's got three distinct actual departments where you have the executive administration team, you have the operations team underneath Howie Roseman, then you have the scouting team underneath Andy Weidel. And look, I want to flip this over now and I want to talk about coaching because anyone who doesn't think that we have a major problem on our hands right now, you're gullible. Because I'm telling you right now, if Doug Peterson goes in and loses this game to Buffalo on Sunday, it's probably the end of his tenure here in Philadelphia. I'm going to be real with you. All right, y'all, let's get to today's topic.
First off, Doug Peterson set the tone for the whole game. He backed down.
No.
You said it or not, you put in there that you really don't believe it.
All right, guys, welcome to today's show. And as you can see, we're going to jump right into the heart of this today because, no time to, pussyfoot around this one, guys. Here's the deal. Rex Ryan, who gives a shit what some of these guys say? Honestly, he wasn't that great of a coach himself. I mean, kind of the pot calling the kettle black situation, if you will. But I do agree with his overall point. Hey, Doug, you can't walk that comment back. When you go in and say we're going to go in somewhere and win, you have guaranteed a victory. When you walk it back, it makes you and your entire fucking team look like an ass. That can't happen. That's shit that a fourth-year coach should not be making a mistake with. And I know this is the second video in a row I've called him out for this, but it's a big goddamn point because it was unacceptable. You know what? I'm okay with you going on the record and say you're going to win that game, but then you better back it up with your week of preparation. You better back it up with getting your players picked up and ready for the game, and they better look prepared when they walk out onto the field because it didn't seem like we were prepared for that game. All right. To start this conversation, guys, because I threw a big piece out there, I said that I felt like this game coming up against Buffalo could either be confirmation of what we think Doug Peterson is, or it's the beginning of the end. I'm not saying that a loss at Buffalo necessarily means he's fired right then and there. I'm saying that to me, that's the point where I think everyone kind of realizes what Doug is, and it's inevitable that he's going to get fired if he loses that game at some point. Here's what I'll say, guys. Here's what I'll say to start this conversation about Doug Peterson. Take away the one magical season we had in 2017, and what kind of coach do you have? You have a 7-9 coach in 2016, which had a rookie quarterback, lack of talent, you could argue, in depth on the roster. I agree. But what are you looking at this year, guys? How much different is this 2019 team from the 2016 team currently? Which makes 2017 in some senses more magical, if you will. With that said, generally speaking, with a rookie quarterback, you get better as the season goes on. We regressed under Doug Peterson that season. Fast forward to 2018, we're 9-7. Fast forward to 2019, we're 3-4. Those 3 seasons, these 3 seasons so far, if you take away 2017, what you're looking at is a 19-20 coach. I think that guys, we need to keep this in perspective. We're looking at a coach who is 19-20 if you take away the one magical season. We've got to dig in. I'm not saying that this is the reality of who this guy is. I'm saying, to an extent, we need to investigate what's going on because you can't just shake that number. Something's going on to cause this type of performance. And that's what I'm going to look at today. What the hell is causing this type of performance?
A great example. I was 1-5 in Kansas City in 2015, and we won 10 straight after that. So,
okay, underneath Doug Peterson, tenure here in Philadelphia, who would we say the Eagles are? Let's start offensively because that's the place that Doug Peterson has the largest impact, right? This is a team that basically comes out, in my opinion, in mostly 2 formations. It mixes in some other formations, but mostly comes out in 2 formations, which happen to be the 11-man personnel and the 12-man personnel. Basically saying utilizing 3 wide receivers and a tight end in a back, or 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends in a back. All right. Sometimes you will see the Eagles go maybe some empty set. I've seen the Eagles, on occasion run 13-man personnel and come out with 3 tight ends. That hasn't really been the case unless we're utilizing an offensive lineman this year as that tight end. But nonetheless, that's who the Eagles are offensively underneath Doug Peterson. I do think injuries have played a large part in how shitty this team has performed. But I will say this from the offensive perspective. Who's really who have we really lost? I mean, you could look at the Atlanta game and certainly say, like, well, Christ, we had to march out nobody. Detroit could even be argued that it was less than an ideal situation. But since those games, largely the only 2 players we've missed during this last 2 fucking shit shows at Minnesota and at Dallas have been Jason Peters, which was really expected, and Deshaun Jackson, which is really expected, and Darren Sproles and Corey Clement, which both of those weren't supposed to be heavily dependent upon for the offense. Special teams wise and like role wise, of course they had a role in there. But let's be honest, I think Boston Scott has been more than adequate in their absence. Um, Here's the thing. Look, losing Deshaun Jackson is a major hit to this team. Okay. Without Deshaun Jackson, there really is no vertical threat. I don't know why this coaching staff refuses to play JJ Arcega-Whiteside. It really does need to change that, or else I'm sorry, but we're going to have to call you into question. You can't spend second round draft capital on players like this, have this kind of underwhelming performance from the guys you have in the lineup, and still not put them in the game. Wake the fuck up and put the kid in the game. What difference is it going to make, anyways? Look, I understand that from an X's and O's standpoint, Mac Hollins has outplayed him. I agree. Mac Hollins doesn't have a second round draft grade on him, and Mac Hollins is really just a kind of a role player here. Like, you got to put this kid in and give him experience, give him a chance to actually develop. I mean, he might be a bust. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say that he won't be a bust. With that said, you got to give the kid an actual fucking shot. Um, Here's my thing. If you're talking about improving the Eagles to put them in contention, what's the one move you can make? You need to go get a wide receiver that can stretch the field.
7, you forced them to punt, and then you called 3 straight running plays. Why 3 straight running plays in that situation?
Miles just missed the hole, and that happens with young guys, and we had a
Miles,
chance.
not Jordan, on that
It was a play designed for Miles. I mean, it was specifically designed for him. So,
Guys, there's something that's bothering me, and it has a lot to do with in-game personnel decisions. You just heard Doug Peterson say that particular play, the reason they didn't run Jordan Howard on it, like, I thought he gave a good justification for the type of defense, area and positioning on the field. We felt like we dialed up the right call. It's just Sanders being a rookie. He didn't make the right call on what hole to take. He missed the hole. Now, look, I understand wanting to play Miles Sanders. He's second round pick, all those things. And Miles Sanders is a pretty damn good receiving threat. With that said, I think you have to look at the game, the situation you're in, and put it in the hands of the veteran. Like, that's not a good excuse for why you pulled the veteran he averaged 4.5 yards of fucking carry in that game and pulled him off the field. What the fuck, man? And I know I'm going to tell you guys something that you guys aren't going to like. It's not going to be popular. This shit's Deuce Staley. This is Deuce Staley fucking up, guys. And I got to be honest with you. I don't know that Deuce Staley's earning his job right now. Because here's the deal. Deuce Staley's the person who picks personnel. He's the one who makes the personnel decisions within the playbook. Now, Jeff Stoutland, along with Mike Groh, obviously Doug Peterson, and to some extent Deuce Staley, they're the ones who kind of put together the actual running plan, the running game plan, right? Jeff Stoutland is a running game coordinator, okay? Obviously, Mike Groh is the offensive coordinator, and then Doug Peterson is supposed to be the guru. So it's his playbook, but these guys are supposed to be contributing. That personnel decision's coming down to Deuce Staley. And he ain't making good decisions. He's not. Mike Groh. I feel like Mike Groh takes a lot of criticism for things that aren't his fault, to be quite honest. But this is what I'm going to say. Look, I think people would be more willing to endear themselves to him and maybe give him more of the benefit of the doubt if he wasn't such an asshole during press conferences. He definitely has a prickish type attitude. I agree. With that said, My main concern with Mike Groh is this. It's not that he's not responsible for play calling, guys. This isn't Mike Groh. Mike Groh only calls a 2-minute offense. This is all Doug P. This is Doug Peterson, guys. This is Dougie Fresh doing this shit. I feel like there's nothing there to push back against Peterson in a professional manner. Okay. It's not that Mike Groh doesn't have the coaching pedigree. He's a former college quarterback at the University of Virginia during the mid 90s with Tiki Barber and Rondé Barber and some pretty damn good UVA teams. Okay. He went on to become a quarterbacks coach at UVA, a wide receivers coach later on. I want to say it was like, I don't know if it was Louisville or I think he was at Alabama for a little while. He was a quarterback coach as well, or wide receiver coach. He was an offensive coordinator. Like, he's got the coaching pedigree. But with that said, I don't know that Doug Peterson respects Mike Groh's opinion or holds him in the same regards that he held Frank Reich and John DeFilippo. Okay. I almost feel like this front office kind of went into an agreement with Doug Peterson that, hey, you did such a good job in 2017 and we trust you so much. We're going to give you these guys that we feel like could be something special, but you're going to have to carry the burden of them not being quite up to the task yet. That future projection, they're going to be really good coaches. And they put the burden of Mike Groh on him and the burden of Press Taylor on him. Because there's a big difference between Mike Groh and Press Taylor in that room compared to Frank Reich and John DeFilippo. And that scares me a little bit, guys, because I feel like a lot of the offense of woes comes down to someone not there to protect Doug from himself. I think Doug is a good coach. Honestly, I think he's one of the best, like, in-game adjusters at the coaching position in the league, including Belichick and others. He's really good at adjusting. We didn't see it in Dallas, unfortunately, but he is really good at adjusting in the game. But what I'm saying is I feel like him taking on so much burden of Groh and Taylor, Press Taylor, and not having someone like Reich or DeFilippo in there is really impacting him in things like scripting the game for those first 15 to 20 calls, right? Some of the personnel decisions. There's really no one to command respect to say, Doug, is that really what we want to do? You guys get what I'm saying? Like, there's no counterweight. There's no counterbalance to this. And I don't agree with the narrative that Frank Reich's the reason why we won the Super Bowl. That's wrong. Get that shit out of your head, guys. It's not what happened. You're wrong. Frank Reich was instrumental in us winning that. Certainly. We had a great coaching staff. But he didn't call the plays, guys. He didn't. I will say this. He's missed. He's definitely missed here. And I think we need to try to find a similar mind to that. I think, not that Mike Groh doesn't have the background as being a quarterback coach, but I do think we need more of a quarterback coach's mind in there. I think we need a couple of them, to be honest. Someone else that sees the game the way that Carson Wentz sees the game. Someone else that sees the game the way that Doug Peterson, sees the game. Additionally, Doug Peterson needs to start playing to the strengths of the players that he has on the field. Truth be told, we don't have a guy that can stretch the field. So trying to run these plays that stretch the field is asinine. You got to stop if you don't have that player on the roster. We're doing Nelson Aguilar a disservice. He's frustrating to watch, but we're also putting him in a position that's not the strength of his game. What is the strength of our game? We got big NBA post players basically out there playing football. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, right? Alshon Jeffrey. Guys that go get positions and go get rebounds. That's the strength of this receiving core. In addition, the most explosive guy we have is Miles Sanders coming out of that backfield, running seams, running post routes, running fades, running wheel routes, that type of thing. And then you got a thumper. You have a thumper in Jordan Howard. I really would love to have seen him, Doug Peterson get more creative and had run out more, 21, 22-man personnel, 12-man personnel, 13-man personnel. It really played to the strength of what this team is. When people start really selling out to stop the run, then you really start play action them and hitting them with these big NBA freaking size bodies on the football field. Just an opinion. All right, y'all. That's all I got, man. This is a super long video. I'm out of here. Like, comment, subscribe. Guys, tell me what you think, guys. I know that some of this shit's going to bother people. Tell me what you think about this coaching staff. No filters. Tell me what you think. What's going on in your opinions? What do you think needs to be addressed? It's cool, guys. You're right to launch criticism at this point. You're not going to get backlash from me for launching criticism. I think criticism is absolutely justified at this point. All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out of here, guys. I appreciate y'all's time.